Deadly Youth. 5 children who deleted others from the 1800s to today, because this is not a new thing. Okay, people think it's a new thing, but it's not. They just didn't have social media. Let's explore 5 cases of children who deleted. Okay, let's explore the darkest corners of the human nature through the most unlikely suspects, children. Okay, today is not an easy one. I did the one on the dark side of children just before this, and that's why I'm now looking at this. Cases where children, some as young as 10 years old, committed heinous crimes. Their stories aren't meant to sensationalize anything, but to understand what drives a child to violence. Although it's something we might never understand. Trigger warning, this video will contain, I'll try to tone it down, but it does contain some graphic descriptions of violence involving children, so if that's a trigger to you, just swipe to the next one. Right, our first case takes us back to the 19th century in Boston, where Jesse Pomeroy was a 14-year-old arrested for the brutal deleting of a 4-year-old. His violent behavior, though, started much earlier. By the age of 11, he'd already started torturing young children and luring them to isolated places, beating them and mutilating them with a knife. After a brief stint in reform school, he was released, and it just escalated. He just escalated. This was in him, it was part of him, it was who he was. And in 1888, I'm talking so long ago, 1874, he was convicted of deleting 2 children in brutal manners, which I won't get into. That's not what this is about. The court sentenced him to life in solitary confinement, okay? A punishment he endured for over 40 years, okay? Even in prison, he was known for violent outbursts and manipulative behavior, manipulating the wardens. I mean, he was supposed to be in solitary confinement, but every moment he had contact with someone else, he was manipulating and he was violent. So, yeah, was Jesse born evil, or was he the product of abuse and neglect? That question lingers to this day because nobody knows, but if you want to research that, it's a there's much more in the story that I don't share gruesome things, but it's a very violent story. It's a very, very bad. It's how our child can be like this. He endured a lot. His backstory is, I think it's his environment and his own trauma had a lot to play with it, but who knows? It's so sad. Then there's our next story. Our next story is very confusing. We fast forward to 1968, Newcastle, England. Mary Bell was 10 years old. She was 10 years old when she committed her first 2 deletions, okay? Over a course of a few months, she strangled 2 young boys, Martin Brown, aged 4, and Brian Howie, aged 3. She was 10, okay, with her hands. It's what's more chilling is her behavior afterwards. This is very concerning. Afterwards, she returned to the scenes of the crime, okay, with no remorse. She even carved the letter M for Mary in the one little boy's stomach, on his stomach with a razor. That's concerning behavior. That is concerning. 1968. I don't even know if there were movies in those times. I don't know. It's a little long ago, but she couldn't have seen it in a movie. Where did she get this idea from? There weren't true crime documentaries or anything then, was there? I don't know. But Mary's childhood was horrific, okay? She had the most disgusting person on earth for a mother, who it's believed that her mother possibly forced her into prostitution. Remember, she's 10 when she commits these crimes. At trial, she was diagnosed with psychopathic personality disorder. She's definitely a psychopath because she had no remorse. You have to be a psychopath to be able to do things like that. But was also seen as a victim herself, and I get that, but it runs deeper than that, okay? She served 12 years in custody and was released with a new identity. Today she's a free woman, and she's even a grandmother because she's old now. But how does that happen? How does that happen? How do you go from being that cruel? Is it fixable? That's the question. Is it fixable? If you are a child, you're 10 years old, you do these brutal things and show no remorse. Is it possible that 12 years later you can be a normal person who sees beauty in things and protects things and has children and grandchildren and treat them right? Can you suppress that? And if so, why doesn't this work for everyone? This is one of those unanswered questions. Next, we go upstate to New York, 1993. 13-year-old Eric Smith lured a 4-year-old little boy into a wooded area. There he beat him with rocks. Okay, this little 4-year-old boy trusted him. And let me just give you a backstory. This little 4-year-old boy, his mom walked him every day to school, okay? And there was a summer camp that day, and she was going to walk him there, but then she had a baby, and the baby was crying, so he said it was literally a block away from their house, and it was a quiet suburban neighborhood. So the mom said, okay. He said, no, can I walk? And she said, okay, you can walk. All the neighbors know him, there's no traffic, it's quiet. It's literally a block away where this park is, where he's supposed to go. And that's why he was alone outside. And he knew this Eric Smith. They lived in the same neighborhood. So Eric Smith lured him into the wooded area, beat him with rocks, strangled him. He was 13, and then he violated him with a stick. Okay, that is to me the worst, because that's got a deeper something there. Okay, when something becomes sexual in the assault, to me it says something else. Okay, unfortunately that's in most crimes. But Eric was known in the school as the loner. He was bullied relentlessly for his red hair, glasses, and big ears. Okay. Bullying must stop. After the deletion, he returned home, acted normal. He even attended the summer camp that day, like nothing happened. No remorse. When he finally confessed, because everybody was looking for this little boy, they couldn't find him. Eventually they found him. And then when he eventually confessed, the community was stunned. Okay, how could a child be so brutal? But yes, he was then tried as an adult and sentenced to 9 years to life. He was denied parole 10 times and was finally released in 2022, which is not so long ago, nearly 30 years later. I don't know anything about his home life. I know that the bullying definitely played a part in it. I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced bullying harms children so much. Emotionally, it scars them. Okay, so, and I'm not saying what he did was right. It was very wrong. And me with if I don't even know what I would have done to him. I wouldn't have made it to prison, child or not child. Okay, but we need to make sure our children are nice to other children. So. Yes, 30 years later, I don't know where he is now, but he was let out, and I actually saw an interview with him where he was sorry about what he did, because he's now an adult, obviously. So when you're an adult, you don't seem to care if you have red hair and freckles. You know, you can always say you're Irish, and then people say, cool, got an Irishman, yeah. You know, but yeah, It's terrible to think a child could do that, and my heart goes out to the little boy because he just wanted to walk to the summer camp. That's horrible. Right, we'll jump ahead again to Lionel Tate, 1999 in Florida. Okay, the wrestling-inspired deletion, so they say. I think it was just a defense theory. In 1999, 12-year-old Lionel Tate, he deleted 6-year-old Tiffany Eunuch. His defense claimed that it was he'd been imitating wrestling moves that he saw on TV. This was debunked very quickly though, because the injuries told a different story. Little Tiffany had a fractured skull, lacerated liver, and broken ribs. Not possible. That's serious violence. That's not a couple of pretend throws. No. The courts initially sentenced Lionel to life in prison without parole, the youngest American to ever get such a sentence. Public police outcry over the harsh punishment led to a reduced sentence, okay, and rehabilitation efforts. Now, this is something that we also still don't have the answers to. Is rehabilitation possible with these people? Because Lionel, once he was released, he continued to run into legal trouble after his release. So he was clearly not rehabilitated. So that raises serious questions about violent behavior in children. Can they truly be reformed? Or is the damage sometimes just irreversible? What do you do with these children? Children who commit heinous crimes. Are they broken, or can they be fixed? Can rehabilitation work, or is it a waste of time? Do we just have to lock them up forever? It's terrible. It's terrible, but it's a question. Our final case, Texas to Texas. Okay, Paris Bennett, a genius with a deadly plan. This is one of the saddest ones that I have seen. Very haunting. In 2007, 13-year-old Paris Bennett, a highly intelligent, she's still alive, he has an IQ of a genius, okay? He's very, and just a side note, the majority of serial deleters have above average IQ. That's scary, so they can outsmart us. Okay, but anyway, Paris Bennett, 13, teenager, little guy, genius level. He stabbed his 4-year-old sister Ella 17 times when the babysitter was asleep. 17 times. What? Afterwards, he called 911 himself and calmly told the operator what he did. It's like, 17 times you do this. It's a mess. You pick up the phone, 911. Hello, operator. Yeah, I just did this. You need to come get me. Okay. The most terrifying detail is that Paris later admitted he did this not out of rage, not out of, it wasn't an accident. Clearly it wasn't an accident for 17 times, but he did it to hurt his mother. It was something silly, okay? He wanted her to suffer the pain of losing 2 kids, both her children, one to death and one to prison. What? I mean, as I saw the video footage and that, this was a normal house, a normal mother with a normal job, and this wasn't. You can basically see when they walk in, you see the body cam footage when people walk in. The house tells a story. Sometimes they walk into these houses and it's trash everywhere, and this looked like a normal house. Okay, it was clean. You could see normal people live there. This looked like a normal house. So Paris is now still in prison in Texas, and he's given several interviews Today he shows a chilling mix of remorse and emotional detachment. His mother actually, she's forgiven him. I don't know how, that would take a lot to forget that. But she's forgiven him. But she says openly, and he never showed any signs. Okay, not that she saw or any of his school teachers or friends saw. She believes that he's not finished. He's not finished. He's not done deleting. Okay. This is what she says. So he will most likely stay there forever, which is possibly better. If his own mother says that, and he did this with no remorse, he did it, he deliberately. How does that happen? Why? Why? And he never showed any violent tendencies. He had friends. He played TV games like everybody. Had his PlayStation, going played with his little sister. It's insane. It's insane. How does that happen? How does that happen? You see, so and now when you look at this isn't in 2007. People will say, he had a PlayStation. He was playing Resident Evil or something. No. What about the previous ones we spoke about in the 18th century? They didn't have thrash metal music. They didn't have TV to watch violent movies. They didn't have PlayStations to play violent games. So that is not an argument. Okay, that history debunked that. So I don't know. So that's it. 5 stories, 5 children, countless lives changed forever. But what do these cases tell us? Some were shaped by trauma, others by rage, neglect, circumstances, and maybe something darker we'll never truly understand. These children are rare, thank God for that. But they challenge our notion of innocence and nature and the nature of evil. If you found this thought-provoking, please subscribe. I see a lot of people watching but not subscribing. Please subscribe. And so that you can see some more. And please don't forget to go watch the one, The Dark Side of Children. That's related to this, okay? So until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and never assume that age equals innocence, because it does.